Hello and welcome to another episode of Unity C# scripting tutorial. So my name is Raja, and in this video we're going to be learning about a new concept called variables and data types. So in the last video we have learned what these things mean inside our script that Unity inserts by default. If you don't know what these things mean, I would recommend you to check out the last video that I have created. So in this video we're going to be learning about variables and data types, which are probably the most basic and most important things in computer programming. So from high school algebra, you guys know that variables are something in which we can store any value and which can hold any value. The same thing applies for computer programming. Here in Unity and in C# specifically, you can actually store any value inside a variable. As an example, suppose you have to store the value 5. So you create a variable with a name and you store the value 5 inside this. So that means you have the value 5 inside that variable, and whenever you want, you can use that name in place of that value. Okay, so variables can be thought of temporary places to put some value and use them anywhere in your program. Okay, so the next thing you're going to learn is which goes hand in hand with variable. It's called data type. Data type means the type of data that you can store inside a variable. As an example, we have different types of data that you want to store. As an example, we may want to store the value 55, which is a number. On the other hand, we may also want to store 55.5, which is a float number. 55 is an integer number and 55.5 is a float number. We may want to store my name Raja, and that is a string, a pair of characters, a bunch of characters together. And we may want to store a single character C. So to store this different kind of things, to store this different kind of data, we need different kind of data types. So there are different data types, and the variables which are of certain data type, we can store values of those kind of values inside those kind of variables. So let's get started and check out some examples. So first of all, suppose I want to store the value 5 inside a variable called a. So I create a variable named a and write an equal sign and then write 5, and we have to end the statement by writing a semicolon. So here what it means is that I'm putting this value 5 inside this variable a. And one more thing we have to include is the data type of this variable. Since we are putting an integer value, so we have to mention that a is an integer type of variable inside which we are putting the value 5. So in C#, in order to tell it that you were using an integer type of variable, you write int or int, that is short for integer. So now we can see that we are creating a variable, an integer variable that is named as a, and we are putting the value 5 inside it. So whenever we want to use the value 5, we can mention the value a, and it will act as it has the value 5. So let's go and create some more. If you want to store the value 5.5, which is a float, which has a decimal point, then you have to create a different data type called float. So we create float b equals 5.5, and we have to mention it by writing f. That means it's a float variable, float value. So here we are storing this 5.5 float value inside this variable b, which is a float. And then finally, suppose you want to store my name. So for storing names or string of characters, we have a special data type called string. Okay, so you have to write string, then name the variable. I'm naming the variable my name, and inside that I'm putting the value Raja. So as you can see here, I have written my name within double quotes. So whenever you are writing a bunch of characters together, you have to write double quotes. That means this is a string value. Okay, So now how would you believe me that these values are inside these variables? I have said you before that variables are just a temporary place to store values, but how will you believe me that A contains 5, B contains 5.5, my name contains Raja? So let's go and print them into the console and let's see what happens. As we have learned in the last episode, in order to print you have to write debug.log and it will write the log and print it inside our console. And inside this, let's pass A. So that means we are printing the value of A. So let's go and go to Window, Console. Let's clear these things up. Now if I run it, since I have written it in the start function, so this will be called whenever this code is called. So if I run it now, as you can see, it says 5. So that means inside A we have the value 5 and we are printing the value of A, so 5 gets printed. Clear it. The same thing will happen if I put Raja in place of A. If I put Raja, so what this will do is, if I put my name, which is a variable kind of string inside which we have stored the value Raja, so if I run it, what will happen is it will print the value of my name variable, that is my name. So if I run it now, as you can see, it prints Raja, which is my name, that gets printed. So this is the basic concept of variables and data types. And suppose in your program you have to use this value 5 in many places, so you just write A in many places and it will seem that 5 is there. And if you want to change the value 5, you just change it here from 5 to 6 and the code will be same. All over the code you have written, suppose a lot of places you have written A. So if you have to change the value of A in you don't need to change A, or you don't need to remove A, you just need to change the value from here and it will occur, the change will occur everywhere. So this is the facility that you get by using variables of different kind of data types. So this is it for this video. We have learned the basic concept of data types in Unity. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and learned something. So thank you very much for watching this video and have a great day, and see you in the next video where we will be learning more about this coding. Thanks.